Okay, so I teach kids with autism. I have first and second grade. I just fell upon like Boomcards, like you all have, through Instagram. I follow a lot of autism teachers, and a lot of them were using them. And once I saw it, it just like sparked my interest. Um, so I just kind of dove into it. And just so everyone knows, I am not a boom card expert. I'm just going to show you kind of like what I've been using it for. And it actually is a really fun website. And I just start noticing myself, because I'm the type where I want to work all the time. So if I'm supposed to be at work, I just start making boom cards, and it's actually been a really fun process. Just let me start sharing my screen. All right, so for those of you that don't know, right now I think Amy had told me that you could have a Boom Card membership through June 2020. So if you go to the boomlearning.com, you just check, they're giving it free through June 2020 because of COVID. But if not, they do have different memberships you could have. So if you have free, you just can make 5 self decks. They're kind of very self-explanatory. And this price is for the year. So it's 35. I purchased the $35 one for the year, just so I could make as many boom cards as I would want. But if you do not feel like purchasing that, you could use the free one. And you could get a lot of things out of it, because they also have a store, which is like TPT. And there's a lot of different decks that are free. So if you want like a math one, if you want addition, you just search it, and then you could, so these points are actually, so this is 250 points. That would be $2.50. They work on points. They also sell some on Teachers Pay Teachers, but some of these are free. I think you just have to go through them. And there's a lot of, so this one's 0 points. There's a lot of free ones that you could use in your class. So if you want to take advantage of that, I suggest it, just because these are like, to me, in my mind, they're kind of like an app for your kid, different subjects, and they just play around with it. They could use their hands to manipulate things. They could just click. There's a lot of things you could do with boom cards. So right here, this is, you just go to the store, and there's a lot of free ones. But
Genevieve, I know we spoke earlier about, questions. I know S just put in the chat box that, are you able to actually edit the free ones? Or once it's,
No, you're not. These decks are just owned by the owner. So you kind of have to just do whatever they do. They can even modify it as they have the deck. So the deck might look like this one day, but if the owner itself decided to change it around, it might look different the next day. That's why I personally bought the membership. I mean, I'm saving a lot of money not going to work, so driving to work. So I figure like $35 for the whole year is very helpful. And just because I know with my class specifically, and I'm sure all of your guys' classrooms, the students have varying disabilities. You know what I mean? Like some of them are more impacted than others. Some might need a field of 2, some can do a field of 4 when it comes to different topics. So I just wanted to be very tailored to my students. So that's why I purchased the membership, so I could create endless amount of decks for my students. So when you do have a membership, you can go here and you go to make decks. I've already made a lot of them, just because, like I said, once you start getting into it, it just gets very fun and easy. And then I always think about my students. It's very hard being away from them. So I think of like, oh, Jared could do this way. Let me create a deck for him. So it's really a fun thing for you to be able to get creative with what you have, and think about your students specifically, because all our students have a wide range of abilities. But yeah, so I created them, and I create them pretty often. And what I like about being able to create them is that I control what my students are learning and how they're learning it, so it could transfer when we do go back to classroom. And when I first started doing this whole distant learning enrichment thing, there was a lot of different ideas coming at me. And I just know my students, I have young students, I have first and second graders, their attention span is not, that great when it comes to, doing worksheets or, doing things that are a lot more complicated. So when I saw Boom Decks, I was like, okay, these are cool because my students are going to think they're playing like a game, like an app. Like all of our kids love iPad time. And a lot of my students were doing a lot of educational apps on our iPads, in school. So it was very familiar for them. So I also thought what's cool about Boomcards is that you could take it back to class once we're back in session. And the thought of me having all these decks, making all these decks during distant learning and being able to take them back to the classroom when this is done, has really been motivating for me, just because I know I'll always have this deck and I could use it in class. Like I personally do work with teacher with 2 students. And so I work with one of my students on their goals, and then I could have another kid on an iPad doing some of these decks that I created. And it also could be like a work alone thing, because some of my students are not really into, some of the work alone tasks, but they could do work alone, like do these boom cards. And it could be something they do by themselves because it's very straightforward, very easy. And another cool thing about boom cards, once you make them, like this is my student right now, but I know, this student is going to go to a different teacher next year. And so if that teacher has a boom, even if they have the free boom card subscription, I could share it with them. And then he could use that boom card, which, because the next teacher would be Bryce. So he could use that boom card in Bryce's class. So I
So
know,
you can transfer it to another teacher,
yes,
and the lesson will still be able to be accessed by the student.
yes. So, and, me and some of our reach teachers at NAN, we really talked about, creating boom cards and sharing them, just so we could get a lot done. For me, I feel personally boom cards is helpful distant learning or in the classroom, because I could put these up on, the smart board. You could use them on tablet. You could use them on a computer. They're really fun. And there's a lot of
Quick question. Did you, when you purchased the membership, did you connect your classroom to your Google Classroom, your membership to the Google Classroom, or did you set up a classroom completely independently from your Google Classroom? Does it make sense?
Yeah, you could add a new classroom here, and it says right here, import a Google Classroom. So I just imported all my students. And that's what's another cool thing about Boom Cards, is because right now I'm just using links, because I know, I just want to encourage my parent participation. So I just been using links where they just get automatic access to the Boom Cards I assign them. But, as we move to direct teaching, over the computer or even in class, you can assign certain boom cards to a student and it'll record the data.
Okay, Genevieve, I'm just gonna address the chat, the group chat. I know Michelle have asked if there's gonna be, you need an app for the iPad to access this. I know there's also an app, but you can actually just type in boomlearning.com, and if you already have the account, you can access your lesson. Angela asked about the templates. Can you send the templates to other teacher, Genevieve?
Yeah, I have to see exactly, once certain people create Boom accounts, I don't know how many, if there's like a limit on how many teachers I could share it with. But yeah, I would be willing to like share some of the stuff I made, because it just, once you get into it, like,
yep, it's addicting.
It's addicting. Like yesterday I was like, oh, let me practice, maybe I'll do this specific lesson tomorrow, in this meeting. And then I was like, you know what, I'm here right now, let me just do it. So it really gets addicting, and it's so helpful. But yeah, once this, you could assign, you could collect data, and then that could give you kind of an idea on how to make your cards like less visually, because there's some cards I made where there's like visual cues for them, so, or fill the 2. So I know, like, if I collected data and one of my students mastered kind of that boom card, I could make the next boom card like more difficult, like have less visual cues, have more fields, like instead of field of 2, have a field of 4. But there's a lot of fun things you could do with it. And
okay. Yeah, and Christina also asked, is there a limit on how many decks you can make? I know if you're only having the free, account, you're limited to 5 decks. You can create 5 decks, but there's also free decks that you can actually access and take for your students. And Alicia Ramos asked, is there a difference between the free version and the membership? I know Genevieve is sharing her screen. So that's the different membership, level that you can access. I would recommend that you guys start with just the starter one, the free one. And if you like it, if you want to create your own, deck, and just like what S said, you can actually sell it, just like Teacher Pay Teacher. But I would recommend just starting with the free one if it's something that will benefit your students. Lee also has a question, and she said, can you transfer the lesson to the next teacher and still keep it to yourself? That lesson?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that personal deck that you made is yours, and you decide to share it with other people. And if there's any changes made to that deck, since you're the owner, you're the one that makes the changes. And yep. The person that you gave it to is just using the deck that you made. Okay. And so these are, when it comes to this, like when it says 1 section, 5 students, this means that you could assign to collect data for 5 students. But if you just wanted them to just, use the link and not have recorded data, then it doesn't matter. You could send the link to like 100 students in the starter pack. So this 5 students talks about, when this talks about 5 students, it's just recording data on those 5 students that you choose. But like I said, there's a way to assign the boom cards you made to like endless amount of students if you have the fast pin link. But the fast pin link, let me show you. The fast pin link lasts for 14 days. So I just put this link in my students' Google Classroom, and then that's for right now. I'm just using the fast pin link just so they get automatic access. So if they go to their Google Classroom, click on the link, it'll take them straight to that boom card.
Okay. And Genevieve, maybe you should show your deck cards like one lesson so teachers can actually see, or our participants could see how it looks like. If you can share some of your deck cards.
Okay, yeah. So this is a category 1. And I haven't done it yet, but I'm going to add to this deck a voice to where it says, what it'll say, put animal in correct category. And you could choose to make that voice automatically go, or they could have just like this and they would press it. So this is categories. They just put it in, sorry, I'm about to mess up myself. And then it'll tell them right away if it's right or wrong. So this is a 15 card deck that goes into categories. And then yes and no. Is this a crab? Yes or no? And as you see here, like I put a visual cue. I made the yes green. You could also put like a yes and a happy face underneath if you want to, and a no and a sad face. That's what's so cool about this, that you could just make it visually, have those visual cues for your student. I also have, so this is the one where I kind of was working on, some of my students are like identifying numbers. And so I made
1.
So that's me. I said 1. So I made this and I made it go automatic. So they hear the number and then another visual cue with the red.
2.
They'll click 2. It's just kind of getting that, repetitive sound and the visual cues for them to identify numbers. I have, and you could go like way more complicated. I have like a preposition one somewhere.
Genevieve, a lot of people are asking, our DHH teacher are asking, can they insert videos so that they can sign something over the top of it?
Yes, I have it. I'll show you how it looks when you go into the studio. So there is video. I haven't used it, but you can include a video and whatever you want to use. So like say if I wanted to use an image, I always use an image just because I like a colored background. you just, whatever you want, you just throw it into the card itself. And so this is the template card. Sorry, I don't know, it's going slow. Okay, this is a template card. So whatever you put on the template card will show on any cards you use. So like if I wanted a color background, I kind of uploaded it already. Kind of going slow. These are all the things I created. There. So I just make sure that all of them are blue, and then you can add as many cards as you want. For this, if you want just this particular card to have a certain text, you just write the text in here. But if you want all the cards to have the same text, you go to the template card, and then it'll show up on every single card. There's also buttons, images, fill in the blank, multiple choice, multi-picks. The thing is, too, you can add sound. And I know Amy asked me earlier how I imported sound. I just record myself on my phone, voice messages. Was it voice messages? Yeah, voice memos. So I just have voice memos. I literally just say touch 1, touch 2, and I have an Apple phone and Apple laptop, so I just airdrop it to my laptop. But I mean, you can send voice memos through email and then download them, save them, and then pull them up. So you could upload different ones. These are the ones I've already kind of done.
Okay, Genevieve, let me address the chat again. So Michelle is asking if you can send the link to the students, can they access the lesson through their phone or through their parents' phone, if it's just the link that you're gonna text to the parents?
It's not, well, you could text the link to them and through a phone, which is fine. I just to keep it like organized, I just put it in their like Google Classroom. So let me show you. Because a lot of my parents, some of them like, oh, give me 2 boom links, you know, give me 8, give me whatever. This particular student, sometimes they want him to have 1 per square, and then sometimes they want him to have 2 links. And so I just put it right here. All I have to do is go, and then they click, and it'll take them straight to the boom card.
And also, while you're showing that, Adrienne is also asking if you don't have any images in your Boom Learning, how do you create this one? Because you have the membership, that's why you have this capability, or you have actually saved some images that you could just import to your Boom card.
Well, for me personally, I have purchased different like clip art that I could use. I think you can use, I mean, don't quote me on this because I'm not too sure. I think you can use like different images if you save them, as long as you're not selling those images in your deck. So if you have no permission to like, you know, use it and it's copyrighted, then that becomes an issue when you try to sell it because it's not your image. So I just save images, and like I know in my last time that I had talked about Boomcards, I used Toy Story images, and that's because my nephew had a Toy Story party, and I'm the creator, one of the creative people in my family, so I just already purchased clip art like through Etsy, and that I already had. But obviously, I can't use those images to create a deck to sell. You know.
So how about images that you find on Google? Can you upload those? Is that okay?
Yes, I've tried it.
I think
you're not gonna sell it.
I think you could use them as long as you're not selling that particular deck. It never has given me a problem. Like if I tried to upload an image, you know, if I'm gonna sell something, then obviously, or anyone's gonna sell something, you have to make sure you get like clip art that has like copyright and all that stuff. But I just find it, because I mean, when I go to my class and, you know, if I have a different goal for a student, I use Google Images all the time. You know what I mean? I just print them out. So there's just so many different boom cards you could make. So I've just been on a roll. Another important thing too is like, let me give you an example. There's certain things that can be a little bit difficult to kind of figure out. So let me just put an image. Because there's certain, if anyone has any questions on like certain aspects of making a boom card, I'll kind of give you what I've had to learn, but there's
Okay.
also,
Yeah, Genevieve, can you just show us? I know they probably wanted to see how you create a very simple one, starting from the beginning, and how do you import your picture. So, see it? Do you guys want to see that?
all right, well, let me just give you, okay, I'll create one with like student names, because I think that's like something that, sequencing their names, but I just want to show you something like quickly. There's, like I said, there's different options you could do, but I want to show you something that was kind of hard for me to get at first. So say if I wanted, let me put 2 images. Say if I wanted that cat, whatever, a bunny. And right here it says you could buy, so there's certain ones that you could buy if you wanted to. And you could, if you have clip art from Teachers Pay Teachers that you already bought, you could transfer it over here. There's different like websites. And a lot of, and if you go to Teachers Pay Teachers or even Etsy, there are people that are giving away like free clip art. Okay, so this is something that was kind of difficult for me to understand at first. So say if the prompt was put the cat on top, or put the kitten next to the bunny. All right, so here's my bunny, here's my kitten. I would create like a button next to the bunny, and then you could just make it bigger. And then I kind of erase everything. But if you wanted to have like that visual cue, you could turn it into like, you could leave it or have a certain color, so they know to drag the kitten to that square. But if you just want them to just do it on their own, you remove this. And that's what I kind of do sometimes. So I just make it invisible for them. But you would make this a drop zone. And then you would make the kitten draggable. And this is what I had a hard time doing at first, but I found out if you drag this little hand and you make sure it lands on the flag, it will make that be the landing spot for the cat. And you could even do, snap to center. So you just put the kitten and then you push submit, and that's right. So that's one thing that I've done. And like I said, you could move that little button anywhere, like over the bunny, under the bunny, to the right of the bunny, in front. Or in between, you could add a different animal over here and put the kitten in between the bunny and the dog. So prepositions, that's cool. Oh, I should have just kept it. And then another one you could do, this is where you do the pics, and then say if the prompt is, even if you do click on the cat. So on here, you could see that this one is green. So you would put the right answer in this square, in this rectangle, but it randomizes once the kids start playing it. So it won't always be in this little square. It'll be in different, rectangles as the kids play it. But just to create, for creation purposes, they're just making you put the right one in that top left rectangle. And then you just obviously push different ones, upload different pictures you want. So that's the multi-pick. Another thing you got to worry about too is anything you put into the boom card can be an answer. So let me give you an example of something.
So yeah, how can you make that answer correct? How would you know that that's correct? What do you need to do when you create your deck card?
So for this one, it'll tell you this green one is going to be correct. So you put in the correct one, but like I said, it'll randomize these cards as the kids play it. So it's not like the correct one is always going to be on the top left.
Okay.
Just for creation purposes, they're making you put it in the top left. But once they start doing it, it's going to be in different positions. But if you wanted to create like your own answers, so yesterday I created a lesson on my student's name, like just sequencing their names. And I started out with like just the beginning letters of their name. So wanna say your kid's name is Chris. You can make it bigger. You have different fonts that you could use. So if you want to start with C, and then this button. So this button, whatever you create a button, is always going to be an answer. So if you don't want to make it an answer, you just make sure on the top that nothing is clicked.
Okay.
But if you want it to be obviously this is going to be a drop zone, so I'll put drop zone. And then you could just put the different letters right here of his name. And when I did it, I kind of did like color coded, because I know, I mean, in our program, the kids do like color coded, like their C is red, their H is yellow, just as another visual cue. So C, and I'll make the C over here red. And then I could, hold on, let me make it bigger. And then I could make an H over here. I could make it a different color. And then an R. I mean, this is not that pretty. I usually make it more pretty, but just for teaching purposes.
How long does it take you to create one?
I mean, it depends. It depends if you want it to be an easy one or a difficult one. You know, this might take a little bit more time than others, but if you want like something simple as a yes and no. So let me show you this and then I'll kind of give you like very quick. So you can make all these letters draggable. And then, like I said, put the right answer. So like if they try to drag this, it's not gonna work. So they would need to have the C. So that's one way. And let me show you kind of how I did one yesterday. So I'll show you like the end product of it. So this is one of my students. Sure. And I put this right here and I just put match. I mean, you don't have to put that. But as you see, it carried on to every single card because it's on my template. So if you see this, and I also put, you could also make the option where you don't randomize the cards. So I didn't randomize the card because I wanted him to learn the sequence of his name. And I don't want like R to be in front and J to be in the back. So I put not to randomize the cards. So you just have to put J, A, R, E, E. And then at the end, I put his whole name. So this top one right here was a button. And if you're not careful, like I said, all buttons you put in are going to be an answer. So I had to unmark it as an answer. And so from there, he'll just have to sequence his whole name. So it's a lot of like, and I mean, this took me a while because I had so many different factors going into this boom card. But I know it's something that I could use multiple times. And like I said, if he's not mastering this, I could send it to Bryce or send it to Carly. And if you want just like a simple, like quick to the point, you know, like a yes and no. It's simple as like throwing an image on there. I did time. I'm doing this. I have a lot of different things I did. Oh wait, I put it on the template. So on the template, you could just put a yes. I duplicate it. But no. You can make this obviously bigger. You could use the visual cues. You could even add a sound where you're saying yes to the box and a saying no. And then, so each one is gonna have that yes and no. So each thing is just all about like adding pictures. So it's not as time consuming as some of the other ones might be. It's just simple as like, you know, marking yes as a correct and marking no as the wrong answer. Next one, you know, marking no.
Genevieve, can I ask you a question? People are concerned about the graphics and stuff. You could just search on Google and have those on your computer and upload them, correct?
Yes, but you can't sell.
You cannot just sell it.
Like these are the one, like these clips right here, I purchased them. Yeah. So if I wanted to make a boom card using them to sell them, I can. I just have to obviously, you know, get the because I got whimsy clips, so I would have to put in my acknowledgments, like if I were going to sell it, your acknowledgement, you have to put whimsy clips here. So I'd put whimsy clips.
So where did you purchase those images?
Yeah, Boomcards actually has like I don't know where it's at. Let me see.
Do they sell those some images too? So they have images that you can purchase?
Yeah, and some of them are free. If you go to some of these websites, they're free. And even if you go to, I'm trying to look at where I saw that earlier. If you go to some of these, so like Whimsy Clips, and you go, if you check on Etsy, you just put like clip art. There's different clip art people, you know, there's tons. Some are a lot are free. So Whimsy Clips is one I use. There's also Edu Clips. So these are the clip art, you know, they have some free ones, I think. And then, but you can just purchase them and like make a lot of different things out of them. They do have some free, but I just forgot where you go, maybe home. And then if you go to Etsy, I think EduClips was another one.
So the bottom line is just always remember that somebody owns that picture or clip art or whatever you're using. Therefore, either purchase it and give credit, or use it just for personal uses. Just be very careful about how you post this if you're using clip art from unknown sources.
Yeah, you just have to just make sure that you pay attention to like all the copyright information. But if you go to teachers, there's clips. I think there's the same one. Well, I don't know. So here, these are some clip arts by them. You just have to put clip arts, and Teachers Pay Teachers or Etsy. A lot of different teachers are also, you know, giving you access to like different fonts that you want to use.
Since we have, some of our teachers have the board maker, and we also have the unique the symbol sticks. Can we use those images to create boom cards?
I mean, I think you can. You just, like I said, you have to worry about like you can't sell anything.
Yeah, so, but if it's just for your classroom,
it's for your personal use. Like if you purchased it, or you know, that's, yeah. So like I purchased different Teachers Pay Teachers items, and I try to turn them into boom cards, but obviously I'm not selling them, and I'm also not sharing them. You know what I mean? Because I purchased that particular Teacher Pay Teacher, and I just been using some of them, like this one. This is the one that I had purchased, and I think Amy, you purchased this one too.
Oh, I use free ones only.
No, I've seen this on your Teachers Pay Teachers when you had showed me. So yeah, I just created this, but I'm not selling it. I'm not sharing it because I had purchased this as a whole packet, like on Teachers Pay Teachers. And then thankfully, Michelle told me about PDF to PNG. So you could just upload different like big PDF files to where they turn each of them into like each page into a PNG without, because before I was like saving it to a PDF and turning it to a PNG, but this website was converting things way faster than I could. So I started using that a lot too.
Something I want to add, guys, if you go to Google Images, you can search images that are free, that are, let me see what the language is. They are, you can actually search and refine your search to images that are labeled for non-commercial reuse, labeled for reuse. There's various levels of licensure that you can look at in terms of Google Images. So there's lots of things out there that's free that you can just reuse for your own purposes. And you can also filter it down to images you can use to sell as well. So if you want to use it for commercial use, there's that filter as well. So Google Images and then just filter it down to labeled for reuse or non-commercial or commercial reuse.
Yeah, and what's cool about that, like I started as I've been making them, like I was like, okay, I'll put some up to sell because I got the ultimate package, you know, the ultimate membership. And, you know, I made like my $35 back because people are just buying. Like when I think of the things that I bought on Teachers Pay Teachers, I buy like random things all the time throughout the school year. So if you wanted to sell, just make sure, you know, you buy the clip art, you have permission to use it, use the fonts, do the acknowledgements, and then it'll show up in the store, and then random teachers across the country would pay to, you know, use that boom card. And then you just kind of end up getting your membership back if you know, if you're already taking the time to make them and you're, you know, using clip art that you can use and fonts that you can use, then it's also another way to kind of make up for paying for the membership if that's like one of your concerns. But like I said, I'm saving like tons of money on gas, so I was like $35 for a year, that's really nothing. And I know my kids love it. Even I've made some, you know, some of my Toy Story ones that I made. I even let my niece and nephew play with them, and they keep asking me to let them play it. So I know, like, my nephew is like 2 years old. If he enjoys it, I'm sure like my students will enjoy it.
Can you show us the Toy Story?
I haven't, no, I deleted it, and I was gonna like make a new, I'll show you guys how I can make one right now.
So
just do
really
it
quick,
slowly.
Yeah, I'll do it
really
slowly.
quick, before you start that, I just want to address the unique images. You can use unique images for this, but you cannot use them to resell, nor can you use it to post publicly. You can only post it to use with your students.
Yeah. So just to be on the safe side, if you don't know, just use it for your own classroom, your own students. Don't share it. Don't sell it. You don't have to
Don't sell it yet. Practice.
I'm like a huge Toy Story fan. So like I said, my nephew had a birthday. I also follow like Mouse for Life on Facebook. So they had posted like different images.
Okay, Genevieve, before you start, can you go to the main, you know, a menu, the home, and then show us how you get to this creating boom card? So at least,
Okay.
you know.
Okay, so when you sign on, so this is what I said, where you could get a free account, I think through June 2020. So it's already signed on to me. This will go to my classes, which I could assign students to certain desks. This is the library where all my decks, the ones I purchased, the ones I made, are all here. The reports is where you will get the information on how the kids are doing. Obviously, I haven't assigned it because I just want my kids and my parents to want to do it before I make it a requirement. Store is where you go and look for different boom cards that could be free or ones that you're willing to buy. So this one right here, this one's free. It's beginning sounds.
There's so many free stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of free things. And like I said, even if you go to those clip art pages, they have free clip art. You just have to like do your research. And then Studio is where I go to make my deck. So if you're selling, this is where all your information will be. If you want to upload a font that you purchase or images you purchase, you could upload them here. sounds that you want to be used, you could upload them here, or you can even upload them as you make a deck. So I just go to make deck.
Slowly.
Oh, sorry. So, okay. So I go
Sorry,
little
guys.
square where it says make decks. I click. This gives me access to all the ones I made. So right here is where I could share to my colleagues. Clone is where it'll just make the same deck, like the template will just be transferred to a new deck. Private is making it private, transfer. Oh, it's right here. It says assign a deck to a different author. This transfer means that I'm assuming that if you share it with another colleague or whatever, then you both can make changes to it. And obviously delete. So right here it says new deck. So I click new deck and it'll send me to a blank page where you could do different things. And so I already have images saved because I'm a Toy Story fanatic. And so, not that one. Obviously I have a lot of images, so it's gonna take me a while to get to it. No, that's not it. Oh wait, I didn't upload it. Hold on, sorry. Yeah, I deleted it. Okay. So I just go to my files. These are my time cards that I created yesterday while I was doing this. Documents. Where's my downloads? So these are all the ones I purchased, all my Toy Story stuff. So I just add it. I add this. It'll upload. And then obviously just resize it to fit the whole thing. Just because I like making things interesting. I don't know. I'm the type of teacher that will like go the extra miles just to make it look cute, but you don't have to go through all this trouble. I just like to be extra sometimes. And then upload. I'll put a picture of where's Woody? Okay. Upload Woody. Resize him. So one of the ones I was gonna do is like beginning sounds and like what each character likes, you know, have the kids listen to like what each character, what letters it starts with. So I go here, I put Woody. Well, actually, I wouldn't put him on the template because I would have different characters. You put text and just have different letters. I'm not gonna do that either. I'll just have a box right here where they will drag the letter. Make sure it's empty. All right, so on like again, see how it's green? You don't want to make it into an answer. You want to make it into a drop zone. All right, so I have Woody. Get in there, Woody. Put him next to the box. And then I also would include like his name. So I already have some of these sounds already pre-recorded. But like I said, I just use voice memos, record myself, and then airdrop it to my MacBook. But I mean, you can send it through email, I'm sure. A lot of other ways. I have a lot, as you can see. So Woody. And I can make that sound. If you go down here, autoplay. So they could hear me say Woody. And then if you want to be like, okay, you could even put the directions here. Drag letter of correct. I don't know. I mean, you could look at other Boomcards to kind of get, you know, a good idea of what you want to write. But if I want to drag letter of correct beginning sound, I write the directions. I can even say the directions. And even when you add a sound, you don't I mean, this could be autoplay, or it could just be there and they could click it if they decide to click it. I just put autoplay just so they know what the word is that I'm looking for.
So they don't have to click the
no
button? Okay.
no. I try to get, you know, even some of these
Make it
drag and
easier.
drop ones, even some of these drag and drop ones, I try not to do just because I just try to make it as simple as possible, you know? First, it depends on obviously the ability of your kid. If you have a student that is not going to be able to drag and then click submit, then, you know, this might not be the one for them. But some of the other students that want like more interaction per task card, then you could get creative.
And you can actually, guys, use the loom.com if you want to record, you know, your voice, and it's also easy to use. So loom.com.
I got this this particular font on, was it the fonts or something like that? But again, I'm not like using it for selling it. I'm just using it for fun. So can you make it bigger? So, I mean, there's a lot of ways you can make visual cues. So if you want to just do like fill the two, you could just do a fill the two. You could do a fill the three, you could do whatever field that your student needs. And even if you, I feel like even if you wanted to like, you know, work with your co-teachers and be like, hey, can we do this lesson where you're doing that lesson for kids that could do fill the four and you're doing kids that need a visual cue, it really helps, you know, dividing that task. And that's what me and my co-teachers have started to talk about and discuss, just so we could all just get at it and, you know, accomplish a lot more faster. So if you could do a fill the two, you could even make this particular box. So if you want to make any changes to something that's on the template, you know, obviously it's not going to let me turn it into like a red if I wanted that visual cue, but you just have to click, oh, let me move Woody out of the way. You just have to click this lock, and then that's where you could move it around. If for this one task card you want to move it around, or for this one task card I want to make the background red, so they can match red with red. I mean, obviously you can't see that, so it's probably not a good idea. But I could make the border, oh, there you go. I could make that white, or I could make this border, close. Let me make the background of this white. It's gonna be weird now. And I could make the border red, so you could actually see, and then you can make the border a lot thicker, and then make this draggable. And like I said, you can make both of them draggable so they could drag both of them, but only the correct answer will go into this.
So this is just because your student's level is at that level that the student will need additional cue, so that's why you red?
Yes, that's what I'm trying to show, where you could add as many visual cues as you want, or do as many fields as you want. It's up to you how to get, because if I'll show you in a little bit, where I did Boomcards on my students' personal info, and I did different levels. So I'll show you this right now. So if you want to do a preview of it, you should be starting Woody. So it's Woody, and then you drag the W here, submit. And so I could do that with like all different kinds of characters because I have the clip art. And like we said before, you could use the clip art, but you cannot, you know, sell it.
Oh, and also Heather, she requested if you can go back to the free decks, how to access them. Just one quick one.
Okay. So this one.
So where do you go first? Did you go to the store?
Yeah, I went to the store. So you just go to the store. You could search if you want a specific one to see if they have, you know, free ones. So say if it's edition, like I said. Well, even right here, it says find free. So edition. And then you could go to price low to high. So all the free ones are going to be here first. So let's do this one. If you want to add it, just add it to your library.
Then you can just access it, correct?
And you just go to your library, and then I have a lot of stuff on my, here it is right here. Then you just go, and there it is.
Yeah, can you show us that one, please? How it works?
We'll drag 4 counters.
Before you do that, can Angela is asking, can you edit the sound of correct answer, or it's just that Bing thing?
I think you could turn it off, but it is just that. I think I haven't changed it, so I'm pretty sure you could change it if you'd want to, but I'm not too sure. Let me see if I can.
Okay.
Okay, let me make this a correct answer. And then you go to, dun, 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 dun. Yeah, I don't know where the sound's at.
Side.
Huh?
No, never mind. There.
I see sound on the left side, second to last.
Yeah, this is where you add your own sound. But we're trying to figure out if you could change it. Which I don't know. I mean, I think I'd have to play around with it, or you could like go, like I said, on YouTube, if you go to like Boom Learning, they have like tons of different videos, like tutorials if you need. But yeah.
Okay, and then Adriana asked, how do you assign
Okay, time out. You know what? I think the questions are kind of taking us off, like off the pattern of where we're kind of going. So number one, Genevieve, when you kind of go in and let's say that you're wanting to use that addition card.
Mhm.
Number one, show us one of the decks for the addition cards, and then show us how that you assign it to your students. Show us what you do, what's going on, because I'm not seeing how. I mean, I see a lot of things that are going on, but I'm not seeing how I would necessarily use it for my kiddos. So let's take it from there.
Okay, so if I talked about where that addition card is, right here. If I wanted to assign it to like one of my students and collect data, you just put assign. This fast pin right here is what I've been using, and just generate a pin. And this link right here, I just copy, and then say I want to add it to Alberto's schedule for math. Let me do a page that he's probably not doing right now. I would just put insert link. I paste the link from Boom Learning and just put addition. And then from there, they would just go into their daily schedule, click on that, and it'll take them straight to the Boom card I assigned them. But when I do the fast pin, it does not collect data.
So then just show us like something, go through this Boom card so people kind of get an idea from the beginning, the things that they can expect to see from Boom cards.
What do you mean?
No, just go back to that addition one. Just go back to the addition one. Not
Just
you,
do the
how you make
addition.
it. Not even how you make it yet. I just want to see how Boom cards look for kids' perspective.
Okay, I didn't make this, so I have to figure it out myself. Okay, this is 5 plus 4. Say it. 5. Drag 4 counters in the box. Count up 5 to solve problems. So I'm assuming these are draggable. So you count 4.
Right.
And then add 5. I'm assuming.
4.
Not 4.
4.
4 only.
Okay, sorry.
You say 5.
Oh, let's say 5, 6, 7,
7,
8,
8, 9.
Okay, now I get it. See, I didn't make this, so I didn't know right away. And then
That's the free one.
yeah, and then you just click 9, and that's the right answer. And then 7, 8, 9, 10. 10, I got it right. 5, 6, 7, 8. So
Try to do something wrong. Let's see.
okay, 11, 12. So I'll tell you right away, it's wrong. 11, 12, 13. And you can make as many task cards as you want on your deck. So if you want like a 2 task card because you know your kid is not going to be down for it, then you can make it 2. If you want like, oh, this kid loves to do work, let me make this task deck card 30 task cards, then you can make them 30 task cards. Does that suffice for the?
Yeah, I just kind of wanted to know what a student experience is. So number one, a teacher could go in, and number one, just to get activities for students, you could go through and link these to either your Google Classroom or Google Slides for students. And so then you have created your own ones based on how you know your students need them, or things that you weren't able to find readily available, correct?
Yeah, because like obviously their personal information, that's where I kind of I could show you like the variation I did. And with this too, I mean, I know one of my teachers, she was on maternity leave, so I helped with her Google Classroom. And, you know, obviously each student didn't have their own schedule because she was on maternity leave. So I just ended up putting all the links, the FastPin links, into a document. I just copied and pasted into a document and then uploaded it to her class. But for info, like these FastPin links, or they expire in 14 days, so you have to get a new code if you wanted to use it after the 2 weeks are up.
And so let me ask a question about that. So the decks never go away, but just that link that you're providing that kid goes away after that time period.
Yes. So you'll always have that deck if that's your deck.
Okay.
It's just, I mean, I don't know why they do that. Maybe just in case you have different students and you don't want them to have that deck all the time, you know, I guess there might be different reasons.
Okay.
So for like personal info, I have students that are just barely recognizing their name. So I just did it simple. So this is Jared. I did a field of 2. And so I made his name green. So no matter what.
What is your name?
So I added the sound. I made sure his name was green. I did a field of 2. And I just focus on his name because I know that that's what he's working on, just recognizing his name. I have another student who, you know, does very well at following directions. So each question will be like a different question based on his personal info, like his name, his school, his teacher, his mom.
So could your kid read this on his own, or if
yeah, he can.
Okay.
But if he didn't, I could easily add a sound where it says, what is your first name? I could even add a sound to each box and put them.
And our DHH teachers could put like a little video of them signing what is your first name?
Yeah, I think so. You just would have to, it just, on the deck, it lets you add video. I just haven't used it, but I'm sure you could just add video and then have the choices underneath. So like I said, so when I made this deck, Alberto, which is the right answer, was on this, but they randomized. So
every time the student would go in, if they do the same deck again, it's not like that it's exactly the same deck. It's like choose your own adventure. It randomizes where the answer is going to be.
Yeah, so Alberto is not always going to be on this one. It could be here next time. It could be there. It could be anywhere. So for this kid, I have 10 different questions for him: school, city, parents' name, siblings' name, grade, all that good stuff.
So for the personal information, you could do this. Could you do a save as, so that you had these questions and then this was personalized for Alberto, but then you also did it personalized for Romero with those same series?
Yeah, that's where you go. Let me show you. Studio. Go to make decks. And that's where you could kind of clone. Do you want to clone the template of the card or the whole deck? So you could clone the template, which, hold on, let me see. So if I go into this is my template.
Okay.
So if I just wanted to clone the template and have different questions, if I go back, I just put, I hate when they move him. Where'd Alberto's stuff go? Okay, whatever, I go back to it. So Paul, if I wanted to clone the whole deck, I could clone the whole deck. If I want to just clone the template card, I'll just clone the template card and then just add. And that's where you kind of save a lot of time. This particular student, I just go over his name. So I could do it as many times. And like I said, mark on each card, this one's gonna be wrong, this one's gonna be right. So you could clone the deck, or you could clone just the template card, so you don't have to keep repeating. So as you see, like a couple of my students, I'm just going over their name. These 4, I just go over their name. So I could just clone the template card. And if I have another student named Chris, I just clone the template card and then put his name in the deck. So, I mean, that saves a lot of time too.
So when you first started using this and integrated it into your Google Classroom, you probably first started out with searching from the store and using some of the free ones. And then you probably branched out and said, oh, you know what, I could do this better, or I can do this for my kids, how they're going to understand it. So then you started probably adapting to what you needed.
Yes, that's exactly what happened. I actually purchased like a bundle, and then, they gave me a good amount, but I just started realizing, like, okay, only 2 of my students could use this particular deck, and then the rest can't, and instead of just purchasing or just like scavenging for like good free decks, I was like, I might as well just make my own, since I know my students. I know if they're going to need a visual cue. I'm going to know if they're going to need the sound, or if they could read the boom card themselves. I know how many fields they're really working with, because some are working only in field of 2, some are working in field of 4. So it's been fun just going over like Sandy items, going over like their goals, and trying to figure a way to create a boom card.
Can you show me the information that you get back? So say you were using this for Sandy, and for information, did you practice on that? What information would you get back for that kiddo?
If I assigned it, I would get information on how well they did. So if I did like this prepositions and I assigned it, then Boom Learning will let me know how that student did on that. And then
can you just show me a sample of what you got back on any of your decks? It doesn't really matter what it is.
I personally haven't assigned it, so I haven't collected data, just because we're right now still in the enrichment phase.
Absolutely.
And I don't want to bombard my parents with like passwords. I just want them to see it and get used to it. But as we move to summer, that's where I'm going to assign and have like videos on how to log in, and try to match screen names and passwords so they don't have billions of things to remember. That's why I like sticking to Boomcards, just because it's like, if I'm gonna already give them a Google Classroom sign in, let me do Boomcards and let me just stick with what's working. And like I said, I see so much benefit in this, because I know I could use it in the classroom when I get back. And that was kind of like one of the things that was like pushing me towards Boomcards, because I was doing so many different things, and I was like, this is only going to be relevant during this distant learning. I want to be able to make my work meaningful in the long run, and I know I'll have these decks forever, and use them in the class, whether I go back to the classroom next week or whether I go back to the classroom 3 months from now. So that's what kind of really like pushed me towards this, just because I know I could collect data, I could use it in my classroom. It's not just a distant learning thing. I could put it on a smart board. I could have it on an iPad. I could have my students working on the computer, and you could just get really creative, and the kids think that they're playing a game. It's like, like Teach Town. It's like something where it's like interactive. You get more on technology with students, especially my young age group, than if I were to give them a paper and pencil. Obviously, there's some students that prefer a paper and pencil, but there's a lot of students that would just want to be on the iPad. And a lot of my parents have been saying, like, my kid, especially because all different families are experiencing different things, my kid wants to be on the iPad a lot. And I'll be like, okay, cool. Just get them to do one of the boom cards, and it's like they're doing work. They're not just, doing this random video game. They're actually learning. And I test this with my niece and nephew, and they ask me for these boom cards. Like, they ask me to play with them. I think the way I noticed like my teaching, like students really love learning when they get that positive reinforcement. So that automatic, you know, simple sound like ding, like you got it right, you know, that does build their confidence and they want to do it. So I was doing it with my niece and nephew, and we were dragging them and, you know, clicking them. And when they got it wrong, they're like, oh no. And then when they got it right, I saw that they like lit up, like, yes, I got it right. I got to the next task card. And I know that's how my students operate. They love that reinforcement. And just that automatic reinforcement, you know, it might seem small and simple, but the students really like that, the fact that they're going to different levels. The boys in my classroom are always like, oh, I completed level 1, let me go to level 2. So
And
I know.
yeah, Genevieve, and the good thing about this is you can actually differentiate the lesson too. So some students may not be able to do matching, and if the instruction would just be click W and it would just be W, then, you know, the student will know that, okay, I did something correctly. So you could do that, you know, differentiation as well. And
Genevieve, can you actually, I'm thinking about, could this be used with older students? And I know that you probably haven't researched it this far, but you probably have seen some things along the way. Can we look in social emotional learning to see what some decks are that are out there for different topics?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of different ones on here. They're obviously covering a lot of different, I mean, teachers, I mean, especially with all this time, they got time to make some decks. So there's social emotional ones you could buy.
Can you just take us into one? I just want to see if there's like, can you pick like a 5th grade one maybe? I'm sorry, go back just one screen. I just want to see if like 5th grade, because we have different levels of different people that are in here. And so can you maybe just find a free one and show us what's possible?
you can preview the
yeah, you can preview them.
Go ahead and preview anyone then.
All right. Well, this one's zones of regulation. So we'll see this one. What is he feeling?
Oh, cool.
He's feeling sleepy. Just making sure what zone. And obviously, if you know the zones of regulation, I don't even know what's sleepy.
I don't know. Go ahead and just choose one.
Maybe it's blue. Okay. So yeah, there's like tons of different ones. Obviously, I'm just focusing on my 1st and 2nd graders.
Oh, no. I just want to try to expand what people are thinking. Amanda is telling us that there's a lot of daily living skills that are doing like laundry and dishes that are free. So that's absolutely a great way that we could integrate those.
Yeah, and I like even me, I've just been thinking like, how can I turn everything, you know, like living skills, like I could add dollar bills, I could add like, there's just so many possibilities. And you know, it might seem overwhelming at first, but then once you start going, it's just like you don't stop. You're like, oh, because like for me, I was like, oh, let me try this out. And ever since I started making them, I'm like, okay, I need more for my classroom. Like I need to have these ready when I go back. So I've just been creating them like nonstop or my spare time. It's just been fun. But yeah, there's all different kinds. You go to Teachers Pay Teachers, they'll have some there too. If you follow some of the autism teachers on like Instagram or Facebook, I don't know if they have Facebook, but I know they have Instagram. Sometimes they give away like free Boomcard sets. So it's just really like researching, because there's a lot out there. And obviously look at the subjects. They could have different kinds of subjects: speech therapy, science, religious studies, all different kinds of things.
Okay, so I think it got me a little straighter. Sorry I had to jump in there, guys, but I was getting lost because I was not able to kind of see how it was used. So that kind of helped me. So maybe we could open it up to if there's any other questions after we've kind of gotten to this point.
Yeah, there's just so many things you could do. That's why it's kind of hard for me to go over everything.
Genevieve, do you see a lot of parents using it? Like, how are their students' participation? Do you see an increase, or?
I mean, right now, since I'm just assigning them, I'm not like, I mean, I'm just pushing the fast pin, so where they just have the links. I don't have specific data on when or if they're using them, but like I've talked to some of my parents and they've told me that they've been using them. I just don't have any data on it because I didn't assign it, because I haven't ventured off to like passwords and screen names.
Okay. Thank you. Is there any other questions, guys? Nope. Okay.
I have a question. Can you hear me?
Yes, Marilyn.
If I actually try and do this, because I do know how to cartoon on my phone, this is just way advanced version of that. Is Genevieve, are you reachable if we are trying to do this and get stuck? Can we
Yeah.
email or give you our phone number or something?
Yeah, you could email me. And then I know one of the teachers already reached out to me last time. Because you have to be careful about what you put into the deck because everything is an answer. So you have to. So she asked me questions about it, and I can answer them through email. I'm open to. I know like it ends up being a learning curve, but once you kind of get it going, then it's just like nonstop. But yeah, you could email me with any questions.
Thank you.
And Genevieve, Angela asked, she wanted to know how you could add the info to the Google Slides. Using the link?
Yeah, I just put the link in. I have this schedule for my students. So it's like Thursday and they're all different boom cards. So these are just straight, because I try to think, like at first I was like uploading worksheets. I was like, what if my parents don't have printers? You know, I was trying to do all these different kinds of things. I have to make it simple for my students and simple for my parents. So I just put the links into the boom cards and then they just click on it and it'll take them straight to the boom cards. And so for some of my other students that might not be doing like videos on different things. So that's another way I could access my students if they are not. I only have one student that doesn't really work on an iPad very well, so I just do videos for him. I mean, they're for all the students, but I, particularly think of him and what he likes and try to tailor my videos in that way.
Okay, any other question? Oh, Michelle, Lee asked about if the student can have email address. Can you just send it to the phone to the parents?
Yeah, you could just copy that link and send it through the phone. You could send it through email. Like I said, for one of my other teachers who was in maternity leave, I just copied all the links and put in a document and like uploaded it to her Google Classroom, and then parents started using them just by clicking on the links.
What if the parent does not have a phone? I have 4 students like that. Or if there's a different language that they speak and they might not understand why I'm sending them this information.
Lee, I think you're going to have to work with your parents to figure out how you're going to address those needs. This is a tool that you can use for students that do have access. And this is a way to do that intervention. There are obviously lots of barriers that are going on for students. So you're going to have to figure out where you meet parents where they're at. For some parents, this isn't going to work, obviously.
Yeah, I tried to for me personally, I just thought of my particular students in mind, and a lot of them obviously love the iPad and they can work an iPad. And I just try to make it simple for them. They're first and second graders. So my parent was really happy when I started doing the boom cards because they were able to give their kid their own personal iPad and it's like, here, do school and leave me alone for 30 minutes. So she didn't have to be over him. And, some weeks she tells me, hey, can you make sure I have 8 boom cards for Thursday? Because, I want that time. And he just goes in on it. So I just talk to my parents often and let them know, hey, do you like the boom cards? Do you want more? Do you want less? And some of the feedback is just that they're happy that they're able to do it without, because one of my students, he loves to do work. His mom has 2 kids in her household that have special needs. And the first week when I was trying all these different worksheets and stuff, she's like, I don't have a printer. It's hard to get him to do work when I have to worry about my other child. So once I saw boom cards, it's like, oh, I need to invest in this because now he does all his classwork without needing his mom to monitor what he's doing or be over him and tell him exactly what to do. He kind of just does them by himself now. And Some days she'll ask me to add more, some days she'll ask me to add less, depending on like his behavior at his house. But she likes them because she doesn't have to be right there teaching him one-on-one because she's already kind of overwhelmed with all the other stuff going on.
And is this an Apple only platform?
No, I think you could use it on all different kinds of technology. Like I just have Apple, so it's like easy for me, but you could use Androids, you could use different tablets. It doesn't have to be an iPad. You could use a computer. There's a lot of different things you could do. That's why I'm excited for this, because I know I could do lessons over the smart board when I get back. Like, I mean, I know there was like different smartboard things, but I just never was able to fully use my smartboard the way I wanted to. But now that these Boomcards like are available to me and I'm creating them, like I like the idea of being able to go back to the classroom, do a group
Lesson.
activity lesson, and have Boomcards that I know what the content is in. Like I know exactly, because I made it, what we're going over, and any cues I added, I'm very aware of it because I made the Boomcard myself. Sometimes it's a little bit harder when, you know, you're just randomly adding things and it's like, well, only one of my students could understand that. You know, my other student needs more visual cues. My other student needs that audio. You know, my other student needs that video of me, whether, you know, deaf of hard of hearing, like signing. It just, you could just have a lot of control over what you're teaching your student and what you're exposing them to.
Can you print this out too? Because Michelle is asking. Have you tried printing this out?
Yeah, I think you can print them out.
Okay. Thank you. Any other question, guys?
Print right there.
Okay, show us. Okay, yeah, there's the capability to print it. How is it gonna look like?
So they're just printing out the cards. But see, I'm sure they would have to like
Cut it out?
Some of these are probably not worthy of like cutting out, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or they could have probably like write it CAT,
Yeah.
and then circle the cat, write MAT, and then circle the mat, all that stuff. But yeah, that's how they come out.
Perfect. Any other question, guys?
I have one more.
Sure.
Can you create Boomcards on a cell phone or a tablet, must it be on a computer?
No, I think you could create on a phone or a tablet. Sometimes I add certain things because it's easier. But I just mostly use my computer. But I think you could add some stuff over your phone or your tablet. I don't think it's that difficult. Most of the stuff is very user friendly. Even the studio creating stuff, it's all about dragging. It's not like really complicated things. So I think you could do it that way too if you need to.
Thank you, Marilyn. Any other question, guys?
I was just asking. First of all, thank you. I'm in love with your schedule. Is for your Google slide? Did you have to create the table, or did you just put 4 of them together?
I just created a table. I just
Okay.
like insert, and but I did it like I made each student have like their own particular character, and I knew it's as simple as like next week I'm just gonna erase this and add new links. You know, it's not something I'm gonna have to recreate every single week. When I think of my students, I always think like a lot of kids, they love personalization. They love when things are about them. So that's why I purposely put this one particular student loves Super Mario, and like I know that he's gonna be like excited, seeing like, oh, it's a Super Mario. I love Super Mario. Even with my videos that I created too, I try to go over like my students' interest. So that's another thing that's not Boomcard related, but I just really try to make it as personalized as possible because I know my students are into it more once they feel like they're included. It's not just, here's a worksheet, you know, this is what, just find a way to do it. I definitely try to tailor like and try to include their interest when I can.
No, this is awesome. Thank you.
All right, guys. We have 5 more minutes left. You can still ask questions. And we have recorded this training, and I'm gonna send the recording to Shelly so she could put it in our Google Classroom.
Thank you, Genevieve, for sharing.
Okay, one last question. Will the links in your Google Slides schedule still work once you start assigning boom cards? Do you get a link for assigning the same way you get a link for fast play or fast pin?
I think when you sign, you have to they have to go in. Like I said, I haven't done this before. Let's see. I'm not too sure because obviously I'm not in the students thing, but I'm sure like they would just go to their thing. Oh gosh. Well, they would have to sign in. Like I'm sure the links, they would have a page where it's like different boom cards, and it'll probably look like this. It'll probably look like a library, and then they'll just have to push it, and then they'll start doing it.
Okay. Any other question? Are we good? All right, thank you guys for joining us today, and thank you so much, Genevieve, for sharing your classroom activities you have created for your students using Boomcards. And next week, we're gonna be doing Google Slide, and it will be with Michelle, and it's the interactive one. So thank you guys for joining us today, and we'll see you later this afternoon. Again, this is recorded. I'm gonna stop recording now, and I'll send this to Shelly. Shelly, guys, bye.
Hey, Angela.